I stared at the stack of envelopes on the kitchen counter. Final notices, credit card decks, foreclosure warnings. My hands trembled as I opened the last one from the bank. Notice of business asset liquidation. That was it. Lumet Cosmetics, the brand I'd spent 5 years building for my tiny studio apartment, was officially gone. Guess your little dream finally dried up, Mom said sharply from the dining table. She didn't even look up from her tablet. My father just sighed, stirring his tea. The clinking spoon echoed louder than words. Mom, I told you, it wasn't mismanagement. My partner Claire took out a second loan under the company name. I didn't even know until... She cut me off. Excuses, Sophie. You always blame someone else. You should have studied law like your brother, not lip balms and face serums. I stared at her. Lip balms and face serums, the same products that had gotten us featured in Vogue just last year, the same ones she used to show off to her friends when I made my first 100,000 in sales. But bankruptcy changes everything. My father folded the paper, his expression cold. You're almost 30, Sophie. You can't live here rent-free again. We covered you after college, after that internship, and after your brand launch. We can't do this forever. I blinked, the words slicing through me. Dad, I lost everything. I need a few months, just until I figure out... He stood. Your brother David is moving back home. He needs the guest room for his real estate clients. We've already made arrangements. Arrangements? I whispered. Mom's voice softened, but only slightly. It's for your own good, dear. Sometimes losing everything is the universe telling you to grow up. I wanted to scream. I built that company from nothing, but instead I just stood there, my palms pressed against the cool marble counter. David strolled in then, his designer suit crisp, smelling like expensive cologne and smugness. You should have seen this coming, sis. Business isn't for everyone. Neither is loyalty, I said quietly. He smirked, plucking an apple from the bowl. Hey, no hard feelings. You'll land on your feet. Maybe start a YouTube channel or something. Mom laughed, actually laughed, as if my life wasn't collapsing. That was when something inside me shifted. A quiet click, like the sound of a door closing behind you and you realizing you'll never walk through it again. By the end of the night, they had packed my things into cardboard boxes. No dramatic argument, no tearful goodbyes, just the dull thud of tape sealing my past away. When Dad handed me the final box, his voice was businesslike. There's a small motel on 82nd. We paid for 2 weeks. After that, you're on your own. I nodded, numb. Thanks. As I stepped outside, the night air stung my cheeks. My once proud Tesla had been repossessed 2 days ago, so I called a cab. My reflection in the window looked foreign. Messy bun, hollow eyes, a ghost of the woman who once pitched investors in glass towers. But somewhere beneath the exhaustion, a spark flickered. I wasn't done. At the motel, I opened my laptop, praying the Wi-Fi worked. My inbox was a graveyard of unpaid invoices and lawyer emails. But one unread message caught my eye. From Rhea Patel, former Lumet intern. Hey Sophie, I know things have been rough, but that formula you created, the niacinamide serum one, it's blowing up on TikTok. People are remixing it with random ingredients, calling it the Glow Potion. Thought you should know. I read it twice. The Glow Potion. My formula. My creation. The one I'd spent 6 months perfecting in my old apartment, balancing pH levels until dawn. For a moment, my chest tightened with rage, but then something else took over. Clarity. The formula was still mine. My reputation might have burned down, but my innovation hadn't. I opened an old folder on my laptop labeled Prototype 5B Glow Base. All the research, all the stability tests, the natural sourcing pipeline, it was all there. I realized I didn't need my family's approval or a partner's loyalty. I just needed one thing, a comeback. The next morning, I took a bus downtown to the community library. My old MacBook died overnight, so I borrowed a public computer and started drafting a proposal. Glow Revival, a skincare line that redefined second chances. It sounded cheesy, but it was real. It was me. That afternoon, I reached out to old contacts, suppliers, micro-manufacturers, even Rhea. Most ignored me, a few responded with polite pity, but one email stood out. From an investor group in Seattle. They remembered Lumet's early success and wanted to hear what I planned next. I didn't tell them I was living in a motel or that I was broke. I just said, I'm rebuilding something extraordinary. And I meant it. That night, I got a text from Mom. Please don't make this harder, Sophie. Focus on getting a real job. The beauty world isn't for everyone. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The motel room was tiny, the wallpaper peeling, the air conditioner loud, but for the first time in months, I slept with a plan. 3 days later, I boarded a train to Seattle with nothing but a duffel bag, my laptop, and one vial of my original serum, the last sample I ever made. The label was handwritten, smudged from years of testing. On the train, I stared out at the passing forest, the rain streaking down the window. Somewhere between Portland and Seattle, a quiet promise formed in my chest. They threw me out like I was finished, but I was going to build something so bright, they'd have to squint to look at it. Seattle greeted me with rain, cold, and the kind of gray that seeps into your bones. I rented the cheapest Airbnb I could find, a tiny studio above a bakery that smelled like cinnamon and yeast. The owner, Mrs. Klein, was kind enough to let me pay weekly. "You've got a creative face," she said with a smile. "Artists stay here a lot." I didn't correct her. Let her think I was an artist instead of a bankrupt entrepreneur trying to claw her way back. My day started at 6 a.m. and ended past midnight. I worked part-time at a packaging warehouse to cover rent, labeling boxes and scanning barcodes until my wrist ached. Every night after, I sat on the floor, laptop open, perfecting my pitch deck for Glow Revival. My hands smelled like cardboard and coffee, but my ideas were alive again. Rhea joined me on Zoom calls, helping refine the branding. "You were Lume," she said one night. "People still remember your clean formulations, your story. You just need to remind them why they loved you." I smiled weakly. "Except now I'm the failed founder." "No," she replied, eyes fierce through the screen. "You're the founder who got back up." That line stuck with me. I printed it out and taped it above my desk. The founder who got back up. 2 weeks later, the investor meeting finally came. I wore my only decent blazer, steamed it with the kettle in my kitchen, and rehearsed my presentation until my voice went hoarse. The meeting was in a co-working hub downtown, a sleek, minimalist space filled with people who smelled like ambition and oat milk lattes. When my turn came, I took a deep breath and started. Glow Revival is more than skincare. It's about resilience. Every product will be inspired by stories of starting over. Our tagline, "For skin that rises again." The investors listened, nodding. I showed them the prototype serum vial, explained the science behind the niacinamide peptide blend, how it supported the skin barrier and natural luminosity. I didn't use fancy jargon, just truth. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then one of them, a woman named Mariah, mid-40s, sharp but warm, leaned forward. "You built Lume." "Yes," I said cautiously, and lost it. She smiled. "That means you've learned more than most founders ever will. Send me your updated cost sheet. Let's talk numbers next week." I walked out of that building with tears burning behind my eyes, not from sadness but relief. For the first time in months, someone believed in me again. The following days blurred into motion. I registered the new business, filed trademarks, opened a separate bank account, this time with only my name on it. I mixed small batches in Mrs. Klein's kitchen, labeling each bottle by hand. "You're like a little mad scientist," she joked as I sterilized pipettes and beakers on her stove. Orders trickled in after Rhea posted about Glow Revival on TikTok. Just a few at first, then dozens. The algorithm favored comeback stories. My face appeared in comments like, "Wait, isn't this the girl who made that viral serum years ago?" Yes, that was me, except stronger now. But success has a scent, and people from your past can smell it. One evening, I got a message request on Instagram from Claire. "Hey, Soph. Heard you're doing your thing again. Maybe we should talk collab? No hard feelings?" My hands shook as I read it. No hard feelings? The woman who signed fake documents, drained our accounts, and left me to take the fall was now smiling in her new profile pic, holding a cocktail on some beach. I didn't reply. Not to her, not to my brother either, who texted a week later. "Mom says your skincare's going viral again. Congrats. Guess you didn't need us all together." I stared at that message for a long time before locking my phone and whispering, "No, I didn't." 3 months later, Glow Revival hit its first milestone. 10,000 units sold online, mostly through TikTok and Instagram Reels. I reinvested every dollar. We expanded the line, cleansers, toners, serums, all based on recovery and renewal. Barrier Bloom, Second Chance Serum, Rebirth Gel. Each product told a story, mine and so many others like me. One morning, I received an email from Forbes Women. "We're featuring female founders redefining the beauty industry post-bankruptcy. We'd love to include your journey." I just sat there, motionless, reading the subject line again and again. From broke to breakthrough, the woman behind Glow Revival. That's what the article would be called. My heart raced. My parents had no idea yet, but soon the whole world would. The Forbes article changed everything. Overnight, my inbox flooded with collaboration offers, investor inquiries, and messages from women who said my story gave them hope. "You made failure look powerful," one wrote. I didn't feel powerful. I felt exhausted. But for the first time in years, that exhaustion meant something. It meant progress. Within a month, Glow Revival was in talks with Sephora's emerging brands program. I hired Rhea full-time and moved operations from Mrs. Klein's kitchen to a small rented lab in downtown Seattle. The space smelled like ethanol and an ambition. We worked 16-hour days, formulating, testing, shipping. This is insane, Rhea laughed one night as we packed our 5,000th order. Do you ever stop? I grinned, stealing another box. Stopped once, didn't like how it felt. But with every success came echoes of the past. My family still hadn't reached out directly. Only David had posted a smug comment under a news article about me. Glad to see my sister finally got her act together. My mother didn't call, my father didn't write. It was fine, or at least I told myself it was. Until one rainy Friday afternoon, when the receptionist buzzed through. "Sophie, there's a couple here to see you. They said they're family." My chest tightened. I knew before I even turned around. My parents stood in the lobby, looking smaller than I remembered. Mom's hair was streaked with gray now, her face softer but lines with regret. Dad held his hat awkwardly, as if unsure he was allowed to be here. "Sophie," Mom began, voice trembling, "we saw the article. We didn't realize how bad things got back then. Your brother said you were fine." "I was. Just not in the way you thought." Dad cleared his throat. "Your mother's right. We handled things poorly. We thought pushing you out would force you to find structure. We didn't think you'd actually make it alone." You didn't think I could," I corrected. The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Mom reached into her purse and pulled out a small bottle, one of my serums. "I bought this last week. Didn't even realize it was yours until I saw your face on the label." My throat tightened, memories crashing into the present. The nights I slept in that motel room, the bus rides, the rejections, it all blurred into one feeling: vindication. "It works," she said, almost smiling. "Better than anything I've used." I managed a nod. "It should. I built it to last." We stood there for a moment, strangers bound by blood and distance. Dad stepped forward, his voice low. "We're proud of you, Sophie, truly." I wanted to believe him. Maybe I did, a little. But forgiveness doesn't come wrapped in words, it comes in time, and they hadn't earned that yet. "Thank you for stopping by," I said finally. "But I have a shipment deadline." Mom hesitated. "Could we maybe have dinner sometime, just to talk?" I looked at her, saw the cracks in her voice, the same woman who had told me to grow up while I was losing everything. And for once, I didn't feel anger, just distance. "Maybe someday," I said gently. As they left, Ria peeked out from behind a stack of boxes. "Was that?" "Yeah," I said. "That was them." "You okay?" I exhaled, steady. "Better than I've ever been." That evening, I walked home in the drizzle, my reflection rippling in the wet pavement. The glow of shop windows followed me, like quiet applause from the city that had given me a second chance. My phone buzzed with a notification. Glow Revival officially verified on Instagram. A blue check mark, small but symbolic. The kind of thing I used to dream about. I smiled. It wasn't the validation that mattered anymore. It was knowing that the people who had once doubted me had to watch me rise. Not in revenge, but in proof. Proof that I didn't just survive the storm, I built an empire from its reign. 6 months later, Glow Revival was everywhere. Billboards in LA, influencer shelves, morning talk shows. Our second chance serum sold out within 48 hours after a celebrity makeup artist used it on live TV. I was standing backstage at a beauty expo in San Diego, wearing a white suit that felt like armor, when Mariah, my investor, turned to me with a proud smile. "You know what I love most about this brand?" she said. "It's not the products, it's the story. You turned your scars into strategy." The applause began as I stepped on stage. Cameras flashed, lights glared, and my heart pounded in rhythm with the crowd. "Glow Revival isn't just skincare," I said into the mic. "It's a reminder that what breaks you can also rebuild you, stronger, softer, brighter." The room erupted, and for a moment, I thought of the girl who once slept in a motel surrounded by deck notices and half-empty serum bottles. That girl had built this. After the event, I returned to my hotel suite overlooking the ocean. A vase of white lilies waited with a card that read, "Proud of you, Mom and Dad." I stared at it for a long time before setting it aside. They were trying in their own way. I'd already made peace with the fact that not every story ends in perfect forgiveness. Some just end in understanding. And that was enough. My phone buzzed again, an email from Vogue. We'd like to feature you in our Women Who Redefine Beauty cover issue. I laughed, out loud this time, the sound bouncing off the walls. Rhea burst in, barefoot and giddy. We did it, Sophie! You're literally going to be on Vogue. I grinned, tears blurring my vision. No, I said. We did it. Later that night, I stood on the balcony, wind in my hair, city lights glittering like promises kept. I thought of every word my family had thrown at me. Failure, dreamer, childish. I thought of Claire's betrayal, of the nights I cried until dawn, of the moment I almost gave up. Then I looked at the skyline and whispered, thank you. Because without the breaking, there would have been no rebuilding. A knock on the door pulled me back. Rhea held out her phone, showing me a live video. David, my brother, was talking about me on a podcast. Yeah, Sophie's story, it's wild. She's the smartest one in the family. Always was. I guess we just didn't see it back then. I smiled faintly. They all saw it now. Weeks later, I returned to Portland for the first time since they kicked me out. Not for closure, just to sign a retail deal that would stock Glow Revival in local stores. As I drove past my parents' street, I saw Mom in the garden, trimming roses. She looked up, caught sight of me, and waved hesitantly. I rolled down the window, waved back, and kept driving. No anger, no bitterness, just peace. At the launch event, surrounded by press, friends, and customers, I gave my final speech of the night. People often ask what Glow Revival stands for, I said, holding the mic with steady hands. It stands for every person who was told they weren't enough. It stands for rebuilding from ashes. And most of all, it stands for the truth that when the world doubts you, your glow becomes your greatest revenge. The crowd roared, cameras flashed. Somewhere out there, my family watched it live, maybe with pride, maybe with regret. But I didn't need their apology anymore. My success was the closure they'd never expected and the proof they'd never forget.